Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students, how are you? I hope you all are doing well. I am your English teacher. Students, today we will start revision of chapter number 3, I Start Work of the novel David Copperfield. Let's begin. Students, as usual, first I'll read a paragraph, then I'll explain it. And before explaining, I'll tell you meaning of difficult words. Let's begin. I start work. Emily hears about Steerforth. After the funeral of my mother, the first thing that Miss Murdstone did was to dismiss Peggotty. She had to leave in a month's time. Peggotty said that she would stay with her brother at Yarmouth for 2 weeks. She asked Miss Murdstone if I could go with her. "Oh," said Miss Murdstone, "my brother must not be troubled by such matters. He has too much to think about. I suppose the boy can go." Funeral means a ceremony or service held shortly after a person's death, usually including the person's burial. Dismiss means order or allow to leave or send away. This paragraph states that after the funeral of David's mother, Miss Murdstone dismissed the Peggotty. Peggotty was a loyal servant of David and his mother, and Murdstones did not want anyone close to David there. Peggotty had 1 month time to leave. She wanted to stay with her brother, who lived in Yarmouth, for 2 weeks. She asked to Miss Murdstone to take David with her to Yarmouth. Miss Murdstone allowed Peggotty to take David with her. She said that her brother had too much matters to see or to think about. He shouldn't trouble by such matters. Let's move on. At Yarmouth, Mr. Peggotty and Ham were waiting for us. We soon came within sight of Mr. Peggotty's house. It looked just the same, and Mrs. Gummidge was waiting at the door. But little Emily was not there. Mr. Peggotty told me she was at school. In this paragraph, speaker is telling us that when Peggotty and David reached Yarmouth, Mr. Peggotty and him were waiting for them. Soon they reached at Mr. Peggotty's house, where Mrs. Gummidge was waiting at the door. The house was the same as before. Emily was not at home. Mr. Peggotty told David that she had gone to school. Let's move on. I knew which way Emily would come home, and presently walked slowly along the path to meet her. Then she came. She was prettier and gayer, and her blue eyes looked bluer than ever. I decided to play a game and pretend I did not know her. I passed by looking into the distance, but little Emily did not care a bit. She saw me plainly and ran away laughing. Of course, I ran after her, and we were very near the cottage when I caught her. "Oh, it's you, is it?" said little Emily. "Oh, you knew who it was, Emily," said I. "And didn't you know who I was?" said Emily. I was going to kiss her, but she covered her red lips and said she was not a baby now. She was so friendly and kind, and had such a pleasant manner, that I liked her more than ever. Gay means light-hearted or carefree. Plainly means used to state one's belief that something is obviously or undeniably. This paragraph states that David knew the way where Emily would come. He walked slowly along the path to meet her. When David saw her, he thought she was prettier and happier, and her eyes was bluer than ever. David decided to play a game. He pretended that he didn't know her and passed by her. There was no familiar look on Emily's face either. She saw him plainly and ran away laughing. David also ran after her and caught her near the cottage. Emily said, "Oh, it's you?" David replied, "Oh, you knew who it was." Then Emily said, "And you didn't know who I was?" David really liked her pleasant manner and friendly and kind nature. Let's move on. As we sat by the fire after tea, I told them about Salem House and particularly about Steve Forth. "He is very handsome," said I, "and such a generous, fine, noble young man, that I cannot praise him enough." I was talking eagerly about Steve Forth when I saw Emily's face. She was listening with full attention, her blue eyes shining like jewels, and her cheeks red. I stopped, surprised, and they all laughed and looked at her. Generous means showing a readiness to give more of something, especially money, than is strictly necessary or expected. Jewel is a precious stone. Praise means express warm approval or admiration of. Here David is telling us that after tea they were sitting by the fire. David told them all about Salem House and especially Steve Forth. David said about Steve Forth that he is very noble, fine, and lavish man. When David was telling them about Steve Forth, he saw towards Emily. She was listening very carefully, and her eyes were shining, and her cheeks became red. David stopped and surprised. When he looked her, all the people also looked at her, and they laughed. Let's move towards next paragraph. "Emily is like me," said Peggotty, "and would like to see young Mr. Steerforth." Emily was ashamed and hid her face. Looking up a little later, and seeing that we were still all looking at her, she ran away. She did not come back until it was nearly time to go to bed. The time passed quickly, and soon I had to return to my unfriendly home, but this time without Peggotty. Ashamed means embarrassed or guilty because of one's actions, characteristics, or associations. Here, speaker is telling us that Mr. Peggotty said, "Emily is like me, and we would like to meet Mr. Steerforth." Emily had hid her face in her hands, as she was feeling shame. After a little while, when she looked up, she saw that all the people still looking at her. She ran away from there, and she came back when it was time to go to bed. Soon 2 weeks had passed, and David had to return his unfriendly home. But this time he was alone. Peggotty was not with him. Responsible for my own life. After breakfast one morning, I was going out of the room when Mr. Murdstone told me to stay. A friend of his, Mr. Quinion, was staying with us. He was standing with his hands in his pockets, looking out of the window. In this paragraph, writer is telling us that one morning after breakfast, when David was going out of the room, Mr. Murdstone told him to stay there. A man was also there. His name was Mr. Quinion. He was Mr. Murdstone's friend. He was looking out of the window with his hands in his pocket. Let's move towards next paragraph. David, said Mr. Murdstone, young people should not sit at home idle all the time. I am not rich and education is expensive. I cannot keep you at school any longer. You will have to learn to be responsible for your own life, and you should begin as soon as possible. It seemed to me that I had already begun in my rather helpless way. Idle means a person who avoiding work or lazy. Expensive means costing a lot of money. This paragraph states that Mr. Murdstone said to David that young people should not avoid work. He more added, he is not a rich man. He cannot bear David's education expensive. He cannot keep him at school any longer. David had to learn to be responsible for his own life and begin work as soon as possible. David seemed that he had already begun. Okay, students, let's move towards next paragraph. You have heard me mention the business of Murdstone and Grinby in the wine trade. Mr. Quinion here manages that business. There are a number of boys that have jobs there, and he suggests that you could be one of them. So you are now going to London, Davy, with Mr. Quinion, to begin looking after yourself in the world. Here Mr. Murdstone is telling to David about the business of Murdstone and Grinby in the wine trade. He also told that Mr. Quinion manages that business. There are many boys who jobs there, and Mr. Quinion suggested that you could be one of them. Now you have to go to London with Mr. Quinion and you have to look after yourself. Let's move on. Murdstone and Grinby's. Murdstone and Grinby's was by the river. It was a strange old building, just at the edge of the water when the tide was in and on the mud when the tide was out. I remember clearly its rotting floors and stairs, and the dirt, and the squeaking and scratching of old grey rats. The place was almost a ruin. Rotting means decaying, getting its original form lost. Squeaking means making a strange sound. Scratching means scraping, making marks. This paragraph states that Murdstone and Grinby's was just by the river. It was a very old building. Its original form was lost, and sound of old grey rats were heard. The place was ruined. Let's move on. My job was to examine empty bottles by holding them up to the light. Those with faults could not be used again. The others had to be washed. When there were no empty bottles to examine, there was always plenty of other work to be done. There were corks to be put in the full bottles or finished bottles to be packed. This was my work, and the work of 2 or 3 other boys. All my hopes of growing up to be an educated and respectable gentleman were destroyed. I felt ashamed of my situation. Examine means inspect someone or something thoroughly in order to determine their nature or condition. Plenty means a large or sufficient amount or quantity more than enough. This paragraph states that the job description of David was to check the quality of empty bottles. He hold and take them near the light to check. If there were no empty bottles to examine, there was always a lot of work to do. For example, corks to be put in the full bottles or packing of ready bottles. David was very upset because all his hopes of an educated and respectable gentleman were destroyed. He felt ashamed and pity on his situation. Let's move on. The Micawbers. At 12:30 on the first day, Mr. Quinion knocked on the window of his office and signaled to me to go in, which I did. Inside was a rather fat, middle-aged person in a brown coat and black trousers and shoes. His large and shining head was as hairless as an egg, and his face was very large. His clothes were old and shapeless. This paragraph states that on first day of David's job at 12:30, Mr. Quinion called him in his office by knocking on the window of his office. When David went inside, he saw a middle-aged man was also sitting there, who was fat and wearing a brown coat and black trousers and shoes. He was hairless. His head was looking like an egg. His face was very large and his clothes were old and shapeless. Let's move on. "This is Mr. Micawber," said Mr. Quinion to me. "Mr. Murdstone knows Mr. Micawber. He has written to him and Mr. Micawber will let a room to you." Mr. Quinion then officially gave me my job at a salary of 6 shillings, which later rose to 7 shillings a week. In the evening at 8 o'clock, Mr. Micawber reappeared. I washed my hands and face and we walked to our house, as I suppose I should call it, together. This paragraph states that Mr. Quinion introduced to David with Mr. Micawber. Mr. Quinion told to him that Mr. Murdstone knew Mr. Micawber and he requested to Mr. Micawber to let a room to you. Mr. Quinion confirmed David's job at a salary of 6 shillings a week, which later increased to 7 shillings. In the evening at 8 o'clock, Mr. Micawber came again to take David with him. Let's move towards next paragraph. The house looked as poor as its owner, but also like its owner it was made to look as respectable as possible. Mr. Micawber introduced me to Mrs. Micawber, a thin and weak lady who was not young. She was holding a baby in her arms. There were three other children, a boy aged about 4, a girl aged about 3, and another baby. Mrs. Micawber came upstairs to show me the room. It was at the top of the house and had very little furniture in it. She sat down to rest after climbing the stairs. Here, speaker is telling us that house was poor just like its owner, but they tried to make it good and respectable. Mr. Micawber introduced David to his wife, who was a thin and weak lady. They had 3 children, a boy whose aged about 4, a girl whose age was about to 3, and one another baby who was youngest. Mrs. Micawber came upstairs with David to show the room to him. There were very little furniture. Mrs. Micawber sat down to rest as she climbed up the stairs. Let's move towards next paragraph. I never imagined before I was married that I would ever need to let rooms. But Mr. Micawber is in difficulties, and so you will understand my own feelings must come second, she said. I said, yes, Mrs. Micawber, if the people to whom Mr. Micawber owes money will not give him time to pay, then they must accept the effect of their actions. Blood cannot be obtained from a stone, and neither can any money be obtained at present from Mr. Micawber. Owes means have an obligation to pay or repay something, especially money, in return for something received. This paragraph states that Mrs. Micawber was very worried due to the financial condition of Mr. Micawber. She said to David that she didn't imagine ever need to let a room. She said that if he didn't pay his debt on time, they must accept the effect of their actions. She more added, as blood cannot be obtained from a stone, as well as at present any money cannot be obtained from Mr. Micawber. Let's move towards next paragraph. The only visitors to that house that I ever saw or heard of were men to whom Mr. Micawber owed money. They used to come at all hours, and some of them were quite fierce. In this house and with this family, I spent my free time. I provided my own breakfast, a little milk and a cheap loaf of bread, and my own supper, another small loaf and a little cheese. Here, speaker is telling us about the visitors who came Micawber's house. They were only men to whom Mr. Micawber owed money. Some of them were very fierce. David spent his free time with this family. He provided his own breakfast, which was a little milk and a cheap loaf of bread, and his supper was another loaf of bread with a little cheese. Let's move towards next paragraph. The Micawbers were kind to me, but my life at that time was not happy. I worked from morning to night with rough men and boys and was a poor and dirty child. I spent all the money I earned on my food and still did not eat properly. I wandered in the streets and I might even have become a thief, for no one looked after me or helped me. I kept my unhappiness a secret and never let anyone know. I did not even tell Peggotty in the letters I wrote to her. I considered my life to be hopeless and did not expect to be saved from my loneliness or the shame of my job. This paragraph states that Micawbers were very kind to David, but David was not happy with his life. He worked day and night with rough men and boys and dirty children. His earnings were spent only on his food, but still he did not eat properly. David was very upset because there was no one to look after him. He wandered in the street and might have become a thief. He did not tell about his unhappiness to anyone, even didn't write all this to Peggotty. He thought that his life is hopeless. He didn't have any solution of his loneliness and he was ashamed of his job. Students, you can see question number 1 of this chapter on your screen. Question is, what was the first task done by Mr. Murdstone after the funeral of David's mother? Answer is, the first task he did was the dismissal of Peggotty and she had to leave in a month's time. Let's move towards question number 2. Question number 2 is, why did Peggotty want to bring David with her to Yarmouth? Answer is, Peggotty knew that Mr. Murdstone would try to harm David, so she wanted to bring David with her. Now you can see question number 3 on your screen. Question is, what happened when David came back to home? We read its answer in today's session. Answer is, when David returned back home, Mr. Murdstone ordered him to bear his expenses himself. He asked him to leave the school and to do some work to earn money. Let's move towards next question. Question number 4 is, who was Mr. Micawber? Yes, students, Mr. Micawber is a new character of this novel and we read about him in today's session. All of you know who was Mr. Micawber? Yes, Mr. Micawber was the owner or landlord of David's room. Students, read this chapter thoroughly. First learn question number 1 to 4, then write them in your English literature copy. Inshallah, we will complete the revision of this chapter in the next session. Thank you. Till then, take care of yourself and your family. Allah Hafiz.